Hey everyone, it's Dan here. So let's talk about dissociation, what it is, how you can treat it, and also why showing your body or your mind that there's actually no threat is going to really help with dissociation. Now, one of the things with dissociation is that sometimes people can have it and not even know that they have it. So, an example is you can feel with dissociation, you can feel detached from your body, and this is called depersonalization. Or you can have derealization, which is a sense of disconnectedness from your surroundings. Now, here's a really interesting fact for you. About 50% of everybody on the planet experiences dissociation at one point. And the whole purpose of dissociation is when something is too overwhelming for you, your body and your mind wants to protect you from all this external stimuli that's coming in, so it dissociates you from that. And an example could be if you go through a particularly traumatic event like a car crash, or somebody's attacking you or something like that. The issue is when this goes on for too long, and some people, they experience this protective out of bodiness or this disconnectedness from everything for sometimes hours or days or months, or it can go on for longer than that as well. It's really terrifying, and people don't know what to do to help themselves. So here's some of the ways that you can feel trapped during dissociation: DPDRs, depersonalization or derealization. So if you think you are experiencing this, then see if some of these things ring true to your life and your world at the moment. With depersonalization, you can have a sense that everything is foggy. You're seeing yourself from outside yourself. You're having an out of body experience. You're not in control of yourself. You're not recognizing your feelings or thoughts as your own. And there is a tremendous amount of overthinking and overanalyzing. With derealization, the world can seem dreamlike, sounds are muffled or muted, things can feel like they're going in slow motion, things are blurry or out of focus, there's a barrier between you and everything, and there's gaps in between being in different places. So how do we cope with DPDR? They can do things which are called grounding exercise, which is where you can sort of ground yourself to get the sense that you are where you are and you are who you are by doing some kind of exercise. And what you can do with that is some people might like hold a bit of ice in their hand, so it's a really strong sensation. Or they might have a really strong smell that they can smell, like a particular hand cream that they have, or eucalyptus oil. Or they might sort of repeat things to themselves like, this is me, I am here, this is my surroundings. Another really big thing that people do to cope with with DPDR is acceptance. And this is basically just accepting that this is the way it is. And I'm honestly, like, I'm really not a fan of that. Although, I mean, it is really good in coping, but we want to overcome this thing, right? Like, we don't just want to accept it. We just don't want to, like, why should we accept that wandering around in a dreamlike state for days on end is just acceptable? It's not. I mean, there are definitely ways out of dissociation. And another thing that people can say is, oh, you got to fight it. And this actually, I think, is a little bit more better than acceptance, because to get out of dissociation and to get your life back to where you want it, you have got to fight it. You have got to put in the work. Like, there is this level of, yeah, I realize this has happened to me and this can help me cope in the meantime. But in the end, you're going to have to start facing some of the fears and facing some of the trauma and facing some of the demons that have put you in this state in the first place. And the really difficult thing about that is because you might not even know what they are. Not fixating on it is another big one as well. People really tend to overthink it. And one of the things they say a lot is, how long is this going to last? When's this going to end? Are things normal? Are things not normal? What's happening? So you're always just fixating on it. And we know that the more you focus on something, the better you get at it. So if you're focusing on this all the time, then in a sense, you're just sort of perpetuating the loop and it's growing on itself. Meditation is also another thing. So what's really interesting here, one thing I really want to hone down to you, is that all these things help you cope with it, but they don't necessarily fix anything. And I mean, a very sort of simple example is if you get a headache, you take a paracetamol and then the headache goes, but then the next day you get a headache again. So you take another paracetamol. Like you're not actually getting to the cause of, well, hang on a minute, why am I even getting these headaches? So all these things, they don't necessarily help because they're not getting to the core reason of why you are dissociating. And I'm going to get onto that in a minute. So one of the things that people say to help with dissociation, and I'm sure you've heard this a million times before, and if you haven't, I'll tell you now, is to fix your anxiety. And in a way, that is true, because the anxiety is creating the threat and the threat is creating the dissociation. But how do you actually fix anxiety? Well, the answer is you don't. If you try and fix your anxiety by meditating or accepting, it won't help because you're trying to fix the wrong thing. The thing that you really need to look at is your beliefs. So you need to look at the beliefs you have about any trauma in your life. And if you fix your beliefs, you'll fix the anxiety. So essentially, how you fix your anxiety is by looking at the beliefs. Beliefs are something we create ourselves about ourselves or about a situation. So for example, if a situation happens, that is an objective situation because 5 different people could all look at the same situation and come away with a different outcome of what happened in that situation or the meaning of that situation. So a situation has happened to you, you've given that situation a meaning, such as, oh, my friend hates me. People are always nasty to me. I'll never be able to do this. And that meaning creates a belief. So the belief is, I suck and I'm never going to be likable, or I'm never going to be able to do this. So when a situation does come up where you say you're put in a social situation, you've already made that belief yourself about, oh, I suck in social situations and people don't like me. So that is going to trigger the anxiety, and then that's going to trigger the dissociation. So if we go all the way back to the belief, this is the place where you really need to be looking. All that stuff with meditating and grounding and accepting and fighting, that all helps you cope with it, but it doesn't necessarily help you fix it. So if we're talking about how the threats is going to really, or how telling your body and your mind that there's no threat to you is really going to diminish the dissociation, that's true. And how you do that is you go back to the beliefs and the meanings that you've put on situations. Because look, if every situation that happens has an objective meaning to it, meaning there's no right or wrong answer to what actually happened, then why not make a belief or a meaning that actually serves you and helps you? So this is really the key, my friends. If you want to recover from your dissociation, this is really where you need to start looking. Once you change those meanings, then the beliefs are going to change, which means you're not going to be anxious in those situations, which means there is going to be no threat, which means the dissociation won't happen at all. And that's how you get your life back on track. That's how you get rid of dissociation. So my friends, I really hope you've learned a little bit from this. And if you found this video useful, then please like the video and subscribe to the channel. And I'll have a lot more videos for you about this topic. So in the meantime, stay strong, remember to fight it, and remember to find those triggers and those meanings. And hopefully step by step, we can get you connected with yourself, connected with your surroundings, and on track to live a life without dissociation. Okay, my friends, I will see you all in the next video. Bye.